Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it might be for you, and welcome back to another new DayZ video. And today we're going to be talking about callouts. Callouts are very important, particularly if you're running with a teammate, whether you've met someone in game or you've gone into the game with a buddy or two, whether you're chatting through party chat on console, maybe you're in a Discord call, or you've met a player in-game and you're actually using your in-game microphone. Well done. You've obviously watched the previous video. Always use this in DayZ. But you want to get used to, I'm talking to you new players really. First of all, we'll talk to you. If you're in a PvP situation or you've just spotted another player, you want to be able to communicate quickly to your teammate, your running partner, where they are, rough directions. You can always say to them, he's down by the coast. Okay, he's over there by the pipes. Please don't be the person. It is difficult in the heat of battle, but it's going to be tempting to say he's over there by the tree. Yeah, that's not the greatest call out. But what we're going to concentrate on today, and we've been given a balota spawn, so we're right down in the far southwest, pretty much, of the map. You can see Prison Island over there. Nice little spawn, this. We're on a Karma Crew server today, just because it's daylight. You want to be able to get familiar with the buildings. Make up your own call signs, if you like, your call outs, or you can use the ones that I use. I'm going to use the ones that I've picked up from playing the game for about 5,000 hours. I've watched a lot of other people stream this game, and they tend to use the same call outs for certain buildings that most experienced DayZ players will use. So this, we're just going to work with what we've been given in Balota. We're not going to be able to go through every single building on Chinaris, but you get the idea. As if you're going to start communicating with players in-game, meeting up with randoms or running with your mates, you're going to want to learn call-outs, particularly for some of the buildings. So double blue tin, because of the door, double blue door tin, massive hangar. I would go with double blue tin or double blue hangar. This particular building. It's not that popular, this one. You'll see it in Svetlo and a few other locations. Obviously, you're gonna be able to call out the containers, military container, blue container, etc. Single shed, double shed. You get the drift. But I think what most people will want to learn are the houses. Obviously, they're little train stations. Okay, and that's telling you in Cyrillic that you're in Balota. So if you spawned in and you had no clue where you were because you're a new player, you can look that up on Eyes of Ive and find out that you're in Balota. Now, if you're an experienced DayZ player and you use different callouts for the ones I'm about to use, please let me know in the comments what they are. And we can share them with the new DayZ players. But, I mean, they don't have to copy us. As long as you get the idea that you need to have some specific callouts if you're going to be useful to your teammates in a PvP situation, okay? So as we're walking through the town, I'm just going to tell you what I would call these out. Pretending that I've seen a player run into the building or run behind the building. Maybe they've taken a shot at me. Or maybe they're just minding their own business. And they don't even know of our presence yet. Alright, so single barn. I'm just going to call that. Single barn. Now these buildings here are often referred to as stilted. And then it's whatever colour they are. So I've just seen a player run into green stilted. Okay, you'll get brown stilted, red stilted. But if somebody says to you, such and such color, stilted building, this is the one that they mean, okay? So we got green stilted. One of my personal favorites is this one. A lot of people don't know what to call this building. What is it, green two-story? No, you'll often hear people who are quite experienced in DayZ say he's gone into the green mustache. And you're thinking, what? How has a building got a mustache? Well, when you look at the front door, you can almost see the two windows there as eyes. The door is his mouth. And that little canopy above it, that little roof, could be his mustache, couldn't it? You either see it or you don't. But believe me, a lot of people will call that blue mustache, okay? A lot of people will call this pink roof. Players gone into pink roof, and then there are a different number of varieties on this building when it comes to the color. You can see a green one over there. So these are called doubles, all right? So we've seen a guy and he's run into the beige double, or he's run into the green double, which is the same building, just a different color over there. So we got green, beige double there. Now, a lot of people will call this Granny's Cottage. I don't know why. There is another building that I will show you. I don't want to confuse you, but I've heard people call this and another building Granny's Cottage. That one there. I've heard people call that Granny's and that Granny's. So let me know if you've got a way yourself of differentiating between those two. I can hear a zombie around here somewhere. Now, single log cabin, I would probably just call this log cabin. Now, there are two varieties of this building, one of which you've got a large back bedroom with a large fire, okay? You've got to go through a door, and then you've got a single burner or oven over here, and then when you go into the bedroom, there's a huge fireplace here. But I would just call this one log. I would call them both log cabin, and hopefully your teammate will get which one you mean, because you might tell them log cabin next to the green double, for example. This one over here I always struggle with. I don't know what to call this one. Let me know in the comments if you've got a regular shout out. Try and time stamp the video for us. We're about 6 minutes 30 in. What do you call this building? Green single? Because you've got the green double, the green mustache. Do we maybe call this one green single? Like I said, let me know in the comments, because I've always struggled with this one. Luckily for us, with Karma Crew, you spawn in with white food and white water. So food and water is probably not going to be an issue for us. There's red stilted. Okay. We've got these stilted buildings. We went into the green one over there first. This is red stilted. Now, there's a couple of ways of describing this one. A little bit contentious, okay? I've heard this one called two things before. Attic house. I'll show you why in a second. So he's run into attic. You'll hear your teammate probably shout if they're very experienced with DayZ. You've teamed up with them. You're following a player. A player's just taken a shot at you. Let's take that fronter. Not quite Friday yet, though. But he's run into attic, and the reason they'll call it that is because it's pretty obvious. It's the only building with an attic space like this. Okay? Now, I've heard people call this the Anne Frank before. A little bit of dark humor. If you know, you know. I have heard people call this the Anne Frank. But if we just stick to something a little bit more palatable today, we'll call it the attic house. Okay? Again, I could call that one Granny. He's ran into the Granny's Cottage. I've heard other people call that other building Granny as well. So it is a bit difficult to differentiate between the two. Let me know in the comments what you call both of those buildings. This is a pub. Now, there are varieties of pubs. A variety of pubs in Chinaris. Brick pub, we're going to call this one. Okay? Because the other ones are corner pub. There are the big log cabin pubs in hunting summer camps. There are also apartments, for example, in the center of Chernogorsk, where there is more of a bar. It's more of like a wine bar than a pub. It's like more of a cafe, almost like a continental cafe. But this is a full-on brick pub, as you can see with the bar there. So this one is brick pub, okay? If there's only one pub in the vicinity and he's just ran into the pub, they're going to mean this one, because there's no other one around. Double green, double red, and here is the famous beige, okay? I've just been shot at by a player. He's ran into beige. Now, I know we talked about beige double before, but this is just beige on its own, okay? A couple of these are then repeats. So you've got green mustache, you've got pink roof, green stilted. The sheds speak for themselves. You're probably going to want to describe. He's ran into the shed behind green stilted. Okay, you want to combine a couple of callouts. And then this one over here, I've heard this one called Dutch barn. It's the bigger barn. You could call it two-story barn because inside that barn there are wooden ladders. You can go up 3 levels in total. Ground, first floor, and then second floor into the rafters of the barn, if you like. So you might hear someone call that Dutch barn or just double barn. Let's get rid of this zombie and we're going to go towards... We'll take a bit of food. Thank you, Zombo. We're gonna go along here. There's a little bit of an industrial area up there. I want to show you one building in particular. Okay, we're right by the airfield as well, so we can give you a couple of airfield call-outs. But yeah, like I said earlier, we're not going to be able to do all the buildings. The video would probably go on for about 2 hours. Beige stilted or stilted beige. Right, he's gone into the wooden shed. Pink roof. Then we got the house that I struggle with. Green single. I'm still going to stick with green single. Now, Karma Crew has a slightly modded Balota airfield than what you would see on an official version of DayZ. But it actually helps us because they've added a few buildings on here. I can tell you the call-outs for them. So if you're in a military area... deeper in the map, even on an official server, you'll get some of these buildings, okay? What we'll do, we'll run up the road first, because I want to show you a couple of buildings up here. Then we'll cut across and call it a day on Balota Airfield and give you some military call-outs. So Granny's Cottage. That's what we're going to call that one. But like I said earlier, some people call that other granny-looking cottage the same thing. So hopefully there's only one of them in the vicinity when you get the call out, but let me know in the comments if you call them something different. Now these tall buildings here, which have a single door and a very, very small space inside, there are sort of 2 variants of them, a slightly shorter version and this taller version. Most people will call them electrical boxes. Okay, so if a guy has taken a shot of you, he's run away and he's hiding, and there's 2 or 3 zombies hanging around outside here with their elbows up, maybe they've run into the electrical box, okay, to hide. That's what people are going to call this little enclosure here, electrical box. I'm going to try not to repeat myself again, but I'll say it one more time, especially for all the DayZ Giga Chads out there. Let me know what you call them. Green stilted, beige, brick pub, big wooden shed. Just say what you see. You don't have to make it complicated. Tall apartments. Obvious. Now this one is quite often just called blue tin. Okay, because of its blue doors, 1 at each side. He's run into blue tin. Be careful, they could be up here hiding in this little back room. But this one's called blue tin. That single greenhouse, that's a problem again. Green guardhouse. Okay. Green guardhouse. Let's deal with this zombie. Most of the time, when you see a shed like the one to my right, you're going to have to double up your call-outs. So you're going to say he's in the single shed next to the blue tin. Okay, try and be specific. If you've been shot from the trees, he's up on the hill. He's in the tree line behind the blue tin. Just start combining your call-outs a little bit. Try and give as much information to your teammate as possible. Because if you say he's over there in the bush, and you're in this sort of an area, quite wooded, or he's over there by the tree, it's not really going to help your mate out. But sometimes, don't get me wrong, even after thousands of hours in the game, you are going to struggle to be specific with your call-outs, alright? So let's do some military ones to end. Maybe we'll get into some shenanigans, because there are about 35 people on the server, and this is a military area, so if we run into someone, the video might get cut short by us getting ended, to be honest with you, because we haven't got a gun yet. Right, so you're going to see some of these buildings, not on Balota or on official, because Karma Crew server has just added them as an individual point of interest to sort of bulk out the Balota airfield. Particularly that one. So that's a small ATC. Okay, air traffic control, ATC. There's a large one at Northwest Airfield you might be aware of. That one is just going to be small ATC. Or you could just call it ATC because it's the only one there. There is no large ATC. Now this one, double camo. I've heard people call this sandbags because it's got sandbags around it. Well, they're not really sandbags, are they? So I would call this, if I was telling somebody there's a guy hiding, he's at the bottom of double camo. Camouflaged construction. It speaks for itself. Most of them are very self-explanatory, okay? So the guy just shot me standing on the top of double camo. Jesus Christ, this is a good way of getting killed when the game won't let you grab the stuff. Right, so we're moving towards ATC. Okay, we're probably going to have to fight a couple of zombies on the way. Unless I stay low, then the rain will actually muffle my footsteps and do me a right favour. We're moving towards the back of the Moon Barracks. Obviously, it's obvious why they call that the Moon Barrack. Shaped like a half moon. Okay, so a guy just took a shot at me. He's run into the Moon Barrack. That's what your mate means, okay? That one. And then we're not going to differentiate between the tents. If someone takes a shot at you and runs away, your teammate's probably going to say, he just ran into the military tents. All right, they're obviously military camo tents. That's where your man's gone. Found a tin of canned bacon. Beautiful. Vanilla. Not that we need it. So your man has run into the military tents. You could say small military tents on the left if your teammate is running in the same direction, facing the same direction as you. He's gone into the big L-shaped tent. Can you see the way that you walk in here? And then there's a longer side there as we pick up a gun. Lovely. And some ammo for it. Beautiful scenes. Large L-shaped tent. Another double camo. Yeah, mag. Alright. Let me just empty all this. In case we do bump into someone, we can have a go at them. I'm pretty sure this is the same ammo that this takes. Yeah, same mag and everything. Alright, let's load this bad boy up. So we're in the double camo. We're moving back towards the main road. We're going to call this one Big Hangar. He's gone into the brick hangar. Okay, this is a large building. So if someone runs in here, they could be anywhere. Could be hiding away in the bathroom. Some bullets in a hoodie. So you're going to need to clear quite a few rooms in hangar. You'll see why it's called hangar now. You'll find this building on Northeast Airfield. But as you go out here, you're into a large... There it is, the hangar itself. Okay? So if your teammate says he's run into the hangar, he's come into here. Move back here towards wooden shed, single tin shed. Now these sandbag bunkers, that's what I would call this. He's over there by the sandbag bunker. Speaks for itself, doesn't it? It's probably got some technical, actual military name that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. Let me know in the comments. But I would call that the sandbag bunker. And then back over here, we're replicating our callouts. We've got another half moon barrack, or just moon barrack, most people will say. Military tents. You've got the L-shaped military tent, and then you've got a couple of single military tents next to it. All right, can't see any player movement, but keeping on our toes. I just got a glimpse of a player. He's running left to right towards the coast, towards the main road. All right, try and put that into your callouts as well. I've just seen him running right to left He went behind the electrical box. He's now heading towards the military tents, okay? My teammate now, who was maybe a bit of a distance behind me, now knows he ran right to left behind the electrical box. Put that direction into your callouts as well. If you can be very specific, if your teammate is around here and I've just seen him run left to right towards the main road, my teammate now is not going to bother looking over there unless he's done. I just seen him running through the trees left to right towards the main road. My teammate has no reason, no business to look over here. All right, so my teammate now is going to be focusing immediately. Okay, he went left to right through the trees towards the main road. He's got to be around here somewhere. Try and put that direction of movement into your call out, unless you're saying he's running to a specific building. If they're running behind a building, or they're running out in the open or through some trees in a tree line, try and put that direction into it, okay? So you've got another double camo. You've got another pink roof. Single wooden shed. Zombies. Who's got a nice bag for us. I was punching zombies before and I had a bone knife on me, but I've got to be honest, I wouldn't use the bone knife. It's a terrible melee, and you don't want to ruin your only knife, especially when you've got a can of food on you. So you're better off just punching these zombies. You can get a military convoy on this as well. On this stretch of road here. So Balota can be a really nice spawn. You've got a guy there. He's looting the Humvee. Oh, look at that. We've got a dynamic train spawn down here as well, which can be very handy if you've spawned. And you can spawn this side of Balota. We spawned down there near the docks, and we made our way into town, and we've looped around, basically, back to the coast. Now you've got the large wooden shed there. That zombie has got his elbows up, and it wasn't from us. So somebody has recently aggroed that zombie. They've either run away, or they've allowed the zombie to punch them to death because they didn't want this spawn. So that's a really good telltale sign, a clue, that a player has just been around this area, alright? We might hear flies in a second from a dead player. Let's have a look in this house, see if we can find them. Usually they would either kill the zombie, or the zombie would kill them, for the zombie to still have their arms up, their elbows up, as people will say. If you hear someone say, elbows up zombie, that's what they mean, okay? Means the player has been around and aggroed or aggravated that zombie recently, probably to get themselves a respawn. I would imagine there's a dead freshie in the grass somewhere. And then what will happen, once the zombie has knocked the player out and they've hit the respawn, that zombie will go back to patrolling their set area that they've been programmed to patrol, but their elbows will stay up, their arms will be raised, because they've recently been aggroed, and it will take a while for them to go back into the neutral stance, if you like. So just a couple of quick more call-outs before we call this video a day. We don't want it to drag on forever. Let me know if you want to do a part 2, if you want me to do a part 2, spawn in a bigger city, walk around the whole city and just call out everything I see. But I'm hoping you get the idea. And this is just another tip, mainly aimed at new players, obviously. Maybe we'll get some help in the comments from some of the OGs, though, with some of those call-outs we were struggling with. So obviously you've got the dynamic train convoy here, which can be pretty handy if you're a freshie. Get some good starting loot. And if you ever see a train like this, and you see a player, they're probably going to be looting these carriages at the back, because the loot can spawn loose here at the front, but otherwise it will be inside the carriages. Obvious call out there is lighthouse. Seen a guy running left to right towards the lighthouse. Try and be as specific as possible. If the someone's put that there. They've been emptying these carriages. If the doors are shut, or if you've got a gun, or even if you haven't really, be very aware someone could be in here just sorting out their loot, because they found loads of goodies like this. Sardines, baked beans, beautiful scenes. I've actually been blasted in the face by being a bit flippant before. Being a bit blasé and just opening up the carriage, not expecting a player. A little bit blasé. Obviously, you've got the gas station over here, or if you're in the UK, you might call that a petrol station. 9 out of 10 times, you'll probably hear someone call that the gas station. Now, the building that's outside this particular gas station, we're approaching the very large city of Chernogorsk on the south, slightly southwest of the map Chernarus. It's a very nice spawn, in my opinion, if you get a spawn next to that lighthouse. You're right by the big smoke. But I would always come across here and loot this gas station, loot the cars for potential knives and food, better clothing. There's 6 rags there, if you cut that up. But this building is quite specific. You can see it in a number of places. I would call it an industrial. Glass window industrial. I need a bit of help from the OGs in the comments. I struggle with this one. It's obviously like a workshop, isn't it? Look, you've got like a workbench here with some tools, machinery, the anvil. What would you call this? I suppose it is a workshop, isn't it? Does anyone have anything better than workshop? Gas station store? You know, the place where you would go to pay for your gas? Has anyone got any improvement on gas station shop? Gas station kiosk? You get the idea though, don't you? Even if you're not copying any of my callouts, you're making sure you've got something of your own that is easily identifiable to somebody you've just teamed up with in-game. Alright? I'm just going to go and loot this Humvee. You're going to want to tell your teammate. You're not going to want to describe every action to your teammate. They're going to probably end up, especially if it's a random and not a real-life friend, they're probably going to end up wanting to shoot you in the face because you're talking too much. Nobody likes a jibber-jabber. A yapper. Not too much, but in the middle of a gunfight, you cannot give too much information. Unless it's confusing the situation, I suppose. And we're running over towards Granny's Cottage again. One of those 2 buildings that I call Granny's Cottage. We haven't bumped into any freshies that we could give the loot away to, which is a shame. We could give somebody a really, really good start on the map, because we're not carrying this character on. We're only just using it for the purpose. Maybe that would be more the Dutch barn, actually. The one I showed you in Balota would be double barn, because it's got multiple stories. Multi-story barn. That one's more of a Dutch barn. Obviously, lighthouse. Single shed, what would you call that? Single rusty shed, single copper shed, tin shed. Try not to complicate it too much. Nice little radiator in there. Still can't see any freshies we could befriend. As we go over towards Granny's Cottage, we'll take the video up to approximately half an hour, because we're nearly there, by calling out the boathouse, okay? Oh, just saw a guy run left to right. He's gone up into the top story, the top floor of the boathouse. He hasn't really, but that's what I'd be saying. Okay? He's looting the fishing boats. He's out on the jetty. Dutch barn. And then we're pretty much... we would be getting into a whole set of new buildings. If you wanted a part 2, maybe even a part 3 of this video, let me know. Without it being scripted, without me jumping into offline mode DayZ and sort of teleporting myself around the map, you have to go with the hand you've been dealt, okay? So we are going to get a bit of replication. These buildings here, single log cabin, which is a very similar call out to the other log cabin there. Okay, so single log cabin. Obviously, we've got red stilted. But you can see my predicament. See this building, which is the same as this one. It's a single building, right? Single log cabin, but also you can see why people would call it that. But so is that one. Single log cabin. See the predicament? Sometimes, and there's the 2 different single log cabins that I was talking about right next to each other. One that's got a large fireplace in a room, a bedroom to the left as you go in there. This one has just got the table and single oven here as you go into the right. But I would call them both single log cabin. So if my teammate, we were on a Discord call, and my teammate was quite far away from me, but in the vicinity, and I saw a player, say I was in the red stilted window, and I saw a player running into one of those log cabins, and now I got to get a bit more inventive with my call out. All right. Hopefully, we don't get shot in the face. Yeah. So I'm looking down the street. I know that's a log cabin over there. He's got into the log. This one though. My teammate's like, "Which log cabin? Which log cabin?" He's in the log cabin, which is directly opposite the red stilted. I'm looking out the window of the log cabin now towards the big. I'm looking out the window of the red stilted towards the big apartments up on the hill, and he's in the single log cabin immediately to my left. You've got to start getting a little bit more specific then when there are two buildings which are almost identical in terms of the call out next to one another. All right, but if we do a part 2, a part 3, we'd be going into town and we'd start to give you some call outs for some apartments, some of the stores. You've got the taco stands. Most people will call, I've heard most people in DayZ call them taco stands, okay? You could call them kiosks. Just seen a guy next to the big Ferris wheel. I'm in the red stilted, and I've seen a guy run left to right into the very first taco stand, okay? Your teammate would mean there. Luckily, there are only a couple of taco stands visible from this spawn site location. So if we're working together and my friend is in there and he comes down, he goes, where? And look where I'm aiming. He's just ran left to right into the kiosk or into the taco stand. You move out the way, your teammate has a look. He knows exactly where you're looking. That's another good way. You know, if you're running, you're basically holding hands with one another for protection. You know, two of you watching each other's back, especially if you're both new. There's nothing wrong with hand holding and literally running around 6 feet apart from one another. If you've got a gun, you can say, look where I'm aiming. He's gone into this kiosk over the road. Okay? If you haven't got a gun, you can just use your fists. Bring your fists up like you're going to fight and say, look, he's gone in that direction over there. Sorry for the motion sickness there. Most people will do a little shake. I'll try and not do it because people have commented before about the motion sickness. But your teammate will go, where? And I'll say, I just seen him now. Run this way. He's run up this way. Now, as long as you look at your teammate, you can see which way his fists are pointing, or ideally a gun. Look where I'm aiming. Look where I'm aiming. If you're completely flummoxed and you can't think of a name for the building you mean, get your fists out. Pause. Get your gun out. Look where I'm aiming, bro. Look where I'm aiming. That's another good way of just physically showing your teammate which way you mean. Okay? Where you've last seen that player run to. But it's a really dreadful day in Chinaris today. Absolutely bucketing down. We ran pretty much through the whole of Balota. Didn't see anybody. We're now in Chernogorsk. Cold, hungry, thirsty. Not going to be hungry for long, though. We found some 22 and some Sporter rounds. We found a gun, which shoots 7x39, single fire only, but it's a decent weapon. You'll only find that gun on the Armour Crew servers. It's a modded weapon. Got some vitamins or vitamins. We got a blade. Oh, we got a can opener, so I didn't have to worry about that. We got some 9mm, a bit more food. Another spare mag for the gun we've got. Some 380, still our bandage. We've got a bag. We've got some better clothing, a belt, head torch. It wasn't a bad little start. We've only been alive half an hour, but I would consider this a reasonable start if we were going to continue on. But I hope you get the gist of that today. We're talking about call-outs. Try and get yourself familiar with giving as much information as you can to your teammate, because they really will thank you for it. And it really will make you and them better equipped to go into a PvP situation and hopefully come out the other side as the ones doing all the looting and getting all that fat loot. Thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you for participating in the comments. Thank you for all the constructive comments we've had recently. You know who you are. And thank you very, very much for hitting that like button. Let me know if you want me to focus on anything in particular next week, especially if you're a new player. Peace out. I'll see you very soon. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.